people, ladies, gentlemen, when you say that I don't need a partner, I don't need a relationship, what I actually needed was a part of me, myself, a mirror. I was missing a part of me. That's all very nice. Meanwhile, some of you are sharing that you had a deeper ache, a deeper longing within you. And as it always happens in the Oriental or New Age streams, which sadly many of you identify with, and I used to identify with as well, is that people tend to intellectualize a spiritual process. They tend to share something, oh yes, but they think they have everything figured out. And of course, it was a part of me. Well, be careful, because in my experience, that is one of the sneakiest and worst types of spiritual ego, masquerading as some form of wisdom, some form of enlightened insight. In reality, it's a very fucked up dissociative mindset, because you think you can outsmart Goddess and God, you can outsmart a great mystery. Well, you can't fucking outsmart it. Now, all of you are shamans and gods and goddesses, but those things require humility, right? They don't require intellectualization of a situation. If divinity brings a certain experience to you, you take it. Wail if you need, cry at the feet of mystery, but you take it. No need to intellectualize. You are who you are because some ancestor, some spiritual or literal family or whole family dreamt you into being. So somebody loved you, and the need to be loved and cherished and co-create with the other, that's the other, not necessarily myself. This weird, peculiar, extraordinary concept that the other is another self. But it's another. Even if it's connected to you, he, she, whatever. What a weird concept, right? Well, it's a real concept. So somebody dreamt you into being in this love that you are. You can grow with that love. That's a universal thing, not a human one, right? You can grow without love. And you cannot smart divinity and intellectualize and erase a spiritual situation. First of all, I see lots of women perpetuating such mindsets, which I might say those mindsets believe they have their roots in the spiritual streams of the Orient. Let's be totally honest. That's where these mindsets, these mentalities come from. The need to just compartmentalize divinity into the human and the upper, into the emotional and the intellectual, instead of accepting the divinity as a whole presence. That tendency, which is in my experience a dissociative tendency in spirit, it has a distinct origins in the Orient. Let's be radically honest. But everything transforms, Our understanding of divinity also transforms. We're not here to live in the minds of monks, gurus, or whatever. Especially the feminine is not to be told what to do. At least not in a malevolent way, So I see lots of women perpetuating that, and it's always giving me a sense that there is no real goddess presence in those women. No matter how much they may chant, it's like they're really trying hard to be goddess. That's because those realities and those mindsets are very foreign to goddess. Goddess does not understand the feminine, the deep womb, the elixir. This garden that really blossoms into a spring of total devotion and bliss. She doesn't know. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to intellectualize my connection to this man and this love, and it's a part of me that I long to this. Okay, then I may take that partner. Then grow your own. Another person who has been consciously single, not necessarily willingly single, but consciously. Willingly celibate, yes, also because of the high spirituality that I practice. So I've stayed in deep and radical, in a sense, ways on my own. So I'm not really codependent. And I'm not saying people should enter relationships lightly or superficially or out of codependence. But God, goddess forbid, it's a mystery. Don't fuck it up. Don't intellectualize it. Because that is really, I think it's abusive to the feminine. And I think it's abusive to the high masculine. And I can't accept that those women are in the feminine, because they're not. They're trying very hard. And those men who perpetuate that, they're lost as well. They're not in God. Well, we grow together. And the other person is another person. I think that a lot of the New Age is based on a fear of vulnerability. People are afraid to see that their partner, for example, is not somebody who has their own identity, somebody who has their own purpose, somebody who has their own gifts, somebody who has indeed. And you can really see these gifts if you are in true intuition. Not everybody is your fucking projection. Oh, what a fucking radical concept. I think those mindsets are, let's be honest, semi-psychotic. A lot of solipsism in the New Age is psychotic. And this may sound weird. You may think that, oh my God, but people are not talking on their own on the streets. They're not really. Well, what is psychosis from the standpoint of Carl Jung and Marie-Louise von Franz? It's a self-directed neurosis that arises out of some undigested, unfulfilled, non-actualized potential in the psyche. That is what a psychosis is in the Jungian understanding. So it's not necessarily a brain disorder or people. Sure, it can really arise also from substances like cannabis and other substances, of course. But the substances are also a part of the dissociation that happens in the psyche and that fragments the self. So those solipsistic mindsets are, in my perspective, semi-psychotic in people. And we've all, myself included, even though it didn't feel good to me, have fallen a little bit of, I wouldn't say prey, but a little bit of victims to such mentalities. And they're not empowering, right? So, I think that a lot of it is because people want to avoid vulnerability. Because it hurts, but be brave, master. Be brave, master. Look the enemy in the eye, inside or outside enemy, or both types of enemies. Don't be so fucking solipsistic about existence. Existence is not necessarily something that it's rooted in consciousness, but this doesn't mean that everything takes place in your fucking mirroring fantasy, I think that's a very weird concept and distortion. And I think it's rooted in, as I said, in that human tendency to avoid vulnerability. People are not feeling safe to feel radical love and interdependence, and so they really resort to spiritualities that dissociate them emotionally from the wholeness of a mystery that is eros, or other types of intimacy. It could be family, it could be, parenthood, it could be community, it could be even communion with animals and nature. But nobody is meant to grow simply on their own.